So welcome back to Faith Family United Church of Christ, studying Luke. We are currently in, as you can see, we are currently in chapter 19. So I put this up on the board here to show how it's broken down. So you get the book, which is Luke, then you get the chapter, which is 19, and then you say the verse. So we're in 21, or
28.
28, thank you, Jackie. So we would say Luke chapter 19, verse 28. So we could go down, these are all the verses, we go down to 28, and that's where we are.
Okay.
This is a kind of an interesting way to break down the Bible, where they put each verse on a different line. And that way you don't have to, I was talking to Bill, that way you don't have to go through the paragraph and find out where the verse is.
Yeah.
This breaks them down into
Good.
easier to do memory verses with. So let's see.
I think that's the
There we
airplane down today.
So we're starting at chapter 28 and going through the end of chapter 19, which is verse 48.
You're starting on 28?
Starting on 28. Get my notes here. Right. So, do you recall, it's going to be important. Do you recall the last thing we talked about in chapter 19? Remember what the last parable was about?
No, but I'll find out.
The parable of the
It was investment and risking your life and
10 pounds.
10 pounds.
They call it, they translate it pounds, but the actual Greek term is minus.
Yeah, my Bible calls it a story about investment.
Investment, okay. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Parable of 10 minus.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be important because you remember how that went. The ruler had to go away to get crowned, and then he was going to come back. The only problem was the people that he was going to rule over didn't want him to, and they tried to make sure it didn't happen. So that's important when we come to this, and you'll see why. Okay, so this is a lot of times called the triumphal entry, where Jesus is actually going to Jerusalem for the last time. He's going to be crucified. He knows this, what's going to happen. So after he said this, that was the things that we were talking about last week. He went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. Okay, going up to Jerusalem. We got to remember that. Okay, so, and I don't know, I think I got that. Hold on 1 second.
It's on a hill.
It's on a hill, and that's important to remember, because going up is not a directional. It's not north. You can't say he was going north like we would, going up. And I said that last week, but I wanted to show you real quick. Here is a picture. Okay, so this is a picture of the Jerusalem area. Okay, can you see Jerusalem there? Where are we at? Oh, there we go. Now we're in Jerusalem.
There.
So Jerusalem is right here. Okay, Bethany is right here. They say that's approximately 2.5 miles. Okay, and then Jericho was here. Remember, he was in Jericho last week, and he was going up to Jerusalem. But this, see, that's not really up, is it?
Looks like it's down.
But
It's way
he's
down.
talking about elevation.
Oh.
You could see Jericho is kind of in a valley area, and so he's got to go up these mountains and up these mountains until he gets. So he's going up. That's when you read in the Bible, when it says going up, it doesn't necessarily mean they was going north. It could mean that they were in the north and coming south, but they were going uphill.
So if I was in Bethany, is that on a mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
And if I was going to Jerusalem, would I say go over?
No,
Yeah,
you'd
well,
still say go up, because because Jerusalem is kind of
Even
the
higher
highest
than Bethany.
point. And not only that, but you see right here, this is Bethany, and in between Bethany, there's a place called, tell me how, Bill, I had a brain fart. The Mount of Olives, which is up, it's the starting.
Well, the Mount of Olives is north to a degree, and north of Jerusalem. You
But
should
it's
look
right
across it.
outside, right?
Yeah, but it's a hill too.
And you still have to come down and go back up, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I've never been there. I just what I've read and what I've seen.
Well,
in
you can
pictures.
sit on Mount Olives and look at the wall above the wall of Jerusalem. You
Okay.
can see it from the top of it.
So
looking across it, but still, it's up. The whole thing is up and down.
so I just wanted to make that clear and give you an idea of what that looks like.
It's hilly.
So
I don't know how we got to Luke. We're on Luke 20 today, aren't we? We aren't on 28.
28. Yeah.
28.
Last week we
talked all about that money stuff.
talked about the parable of the minas,
Let me ask you a question.
Zacchaeus last week,
Yeah.
and then we also
I got you. 19 verse 28.
yeah.
I
Oh, you
got
said
I got you.
20. Okay.
Pastor Ed,
Yes.
are there people touring all the areas that you mentioned, bus tours and such? Are there hotels for the Americanos?
Yeah.
Are there restrooms for the Americanos?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's more modernized than what we're studying.
We're studying something 2,000 years
Yeah.
ago, and it's
I love that. It's more modern.
it's like it'd just be like going to Rome.
Yeah, if you think of one of the oldest cities in the world, that's modern. I love that.
I just can't imagine everybody's doing these pilgrimages to Mecca.
And they're
making
walking.
Yeah.
They go behind the shrub over there to use the bathroom. no, it's just. How do you explain it? It's just like our cities, but these areas are like
Well,
scenic areas that they have cordoned off.
it's got some special characteristics though. All the stone for building in Jerusalem is Jerusalem white sandstone. So when the sun hits Jerusalem, it explodes in color, of white color. So it's a very special city,
Oh,
and it's divided into 4 parts.
sorry, I'm so naive, but
Well, you got to go there to know that.
I haven't been there.
No, you got to know that. But it's all built with the same stone because when the British took it over as a protectorate, the guy that was in charge, General or Governor so-and-so, made an edict at the end of the First World War. You're only going to use Jerusalem stone. So you've got the temple and then the wall around Jerusalem, but all the stone that was used to rebuild
May I join you?
Jerusalem was in white
I'm usually coming in at your time.
with gold flecks in it.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
you.
that's great. That's great.
I mean, as a layman, we want to know it all.
Yeah, so I defer a little bit to Bill because he's been there, he's done the tours and everything, so he knows a little bit more. I know pictures and books, so
Most moving experience I've had in my life.
yeah, I can imagine. I've been to places where I won't say where, but I've been to places where you come in there and you go, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad word.
when I went into the
Chicago.
Gator Stadium, the swamp,
It's an awe.
I was just like, I almost had tears in my eyes. So you can imagine doing a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, or even if you were Muslim and doing a pilgrimage to Mecca, you can imagine the feelings that would be. Okay, so let's get back to where we were talking about. So he's going up to Jerusalem. He's at the place called the Mount of Olives, and he has 2 of his disciples, and he tells them, go into the village ahead of you, and as you enter it, you will see there a colt. It's a donkey colt. That has never been ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you why Are you untying it? Stop. Calm down. Okay. Just say, the Lord needs it. So those who were sent departed and found it as he had told them. As they were untying the colt, the owner asked them, "Why are you untying the colt?" They said, "The Lord needs it." Then they brought it to Jesus, and after throwing their cloaks on the colt, they set Jesus upon it. As they rode along, people kept spreading their cloaks on the road. As he was now approaching the path down from the Mount of Olives, see, he's going down into that little valley there, and the whole multitude of his disciples began to praise God joyfully with loud voices for all their deeds of power that they had seen, saying, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven." Some of the Pharisees and the crowd said to him, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." He answered and said, "I tell you, if these were silent, the stones would shout out." Then Jesus wept over Jerusalem. That's the next section. We're going to hold off on that. So, what are we seeing here? We already talked about the going up to Jerusalem. There's no north, south, east, and west. When you say going up, it means you're literally going
You can't
up.
get there without
So you're
going
going
up.
up there. So that's why we highlighted that. All of that is kind of just a story, and there's not much there, but there is something there. How many times has Jesus already been to Jerusalem? How many times has he walked this road? Several times, actually. Yeah. So he knows. And some commentators want to say, "Oh, this is divine, just Jesus being in his divinity, knowing that the colt's going to be there." And other commentators say, because he has walked this road, he probably made a bargain with the owner of the colt, saying, "Hey, I'm going to need that," And the code word was, "Hey, the Lord," which the owner probably knew. A little code word that you know who we're talking about. He who shall not be named. No.
That's too sci-fi.
But anyway, so there's some debate about that, but that doesn't really
He's
matter.
been to the mountaintop though, since already.
So we
So do
see
they
that.
know him this day as the son of Joseph? Is that all in their mind that he's the carpenter's son?
His disciples who are away from Galilee and Nazareth, they see him as something more. They think he's the Messiah, the Christ, the anointed one that's come to what? In their minds, he's come to raise up a military,
Right.
and now they're going to be the world's military power, and that's their mindset. What a Christ is going to be, but he's going to teach them something totally different. My translation says colt. What does any
Colt.
colt?
Yeah,
It just says colt.
COLT.
A baby donkey.
Baby donkey. That's important because that's throwing people off right there. Because what did war heroes ride? Stallions, right? And that's what they rode into battle. But when they come in peace, they ride a donkey.
Oh.
That was a tradition. That was something in their culture.
Yeah, I heard
When a conquering hero comes back into town, he doesn't ride his war stallion. He sits on a donkey to show he's not there to attack them. He's there to bring them peace. And so Jesus rides in on a donkey.
How come you never hear this in the Presbyterian Church?
You probably do. It's just in the footnotes.
I mean, it never comes from the pulpit. Never heard it until here,
Well,
Well, that's just my.
So in verse 35, we see, then they brought it to Jesus, and after throwing their cloaks on it, they said, and in 36, as they rode along, people kept spreading their cloaks on the road. We call this Palm Sunday, and it's coming up soon. And a lot of the other Gospels mention putting palm branches down.
Mm-hmm.
Not their clothes.
Not just their clothes. I think it says they put palm branches and their clothes. But
I
anyway,
think it's an and.
where do they get that from? If you look in 2 Kings 12:12, and this is when Ehud was being anointed king of the Israelites, and it says, this is just what he said to me. Thus says the Lord, I anointed you king over Israel. Then hurriedly they took off their cloaks and spread them before him on the bare steps, and they blew trumpets and proclaimed. So this was the anointing of King Jehu. They laid their cloaks down for him to pass on. So what are the people saying when they're laying their cloaks down? This is our king. Why is that important to know that? What is the response of the Pharisees?
Oh, it's going to be different.
You're not the king anymore.
Some of the Pharisees went to Jesus, the teacher, and said, "Where are the disciples to stop?"
Out of control.
What is their mindset of a Messiah?
Well, you can't say that he's a king because the king is in Rome.
And what's going to happen if we declare this person king?
You're going to get criticized. You're going to get disciplined.
Yeah. You were either friends of Rome or you weren't friends of Rome. Friends of Rome got all the privileges. Not friends of Rome, they went on a cross.
Well, plus the Pharisees wanted those privileges.
Yeah. They were, so they were, what's the word? I don't want to say sycophants, but they were in cahoots.
Allies.
With the Romans, and they knew they were in control, and they was able to get control, get power for themselves within that structure. And now we have this one that's coming. They're saying he's the Messiah. They're acting like he's going to be anointed king, and we're all going to be wiped out. You need to stop this.
The Pharisees the Sadducees and the Pharisees wanted to maintain their power structure within a society, a culture that really didn't want to be conquered.
No.
And had been conquered for 400 years at this point.
Exactly. So you can see this idea is behind what's going on here. And then again, we already talked about the blessed. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. That's actually a psalm, Psalm 118. It says, did you hear what I said though?
Yeah.
Blessed is the name of the one who comes in
the name of the Lord.
Actually, it was also something that when merchants would come into Jerusalem, it's something that the people at the gate would say to them, especially when the pilgrims would come do the pilgrimage and they would say that. Well, blessed are the ones who come in the name of the Lord. So it's kind of a blessing. Welcome, we say all are welcome. They said, but Luke changes it to emphasize what's going on here with the laying down of the cloaks, and that's blessed is the king, because they're saying he's our king, and so the Pharisees don't want this, and they're the disciples. They're all ready to go. Let's go. Put him on a stallion. We're going to go to war, and we're going to become a world power. The Pharisees are like, you're going to take our power away from us. We're going to be, ground into the dust under the Romans, the warriors. And so we kind of like our comfort zone that we're in. Even though we're not in full control, we're in enough control to make us happy. So they're against it. They're against this idea. Any more questions about that? Comments, concerns?
Well, there was there's a reference in my Bible that takes where they say, blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. They have a reference back to Luke 2:14, or to say 2:13, and a great. This is the shepherds and the angels. There are shepherds living out in the fields, and suddenly a great company of heavenly hosts appeared with the angels, praising God and saying, "Glory be to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men, to whom his favor rests." And
that's of course the scene is the birth scene.
Birth scene of Christ.
Shows to
right.
when the angels show themselves to the shepherds, and I think the reference there is the next line there, the peace on earth, or peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven. So talking about he's bringing
glory to God.
He's bringing peace again.
Yeah. Or he is peace.
He is the peace. Okay, so Jesus weeps over Jerusalem. As he came near and saw the city, he wept over it, saying, If you, even you, had only recognized on this day the things that make for peace. But now they are hidden from your eyes. Indeed, the days will come upon you when your enemies will set up ramparts around you and surround you and hem you in on every side. They will crush you to the ground, you and your children within you, and they will not leave within you one stone upon another, because you did not recognize the time of your visitation of God. Wow. Stuff there, just think about that for a second. What's Jesus trying to tell us here? Don't be shy.
You didn't realize that I will be coming back? That the new kingdom is here?
Mm-hmm.
You're blind, you're thinking of other things?
Well, what's he talking about? Once again, we have this theme, and Bill's footnote kind of pointed out this idea of peace. He's coming in on a donkey, representing not war, but peace. They say peace in heaven, and then we refer back to when he was born, peace on earth, come to bring peace. And Jesus says, you did not recognize.
If even you had only known this day would bring you peace.
Yeah.
But the people don't know.
The people don't know. They're still looking for a warrior Messiah.
They didn't want peace.
No, if you've been,
Did they really want peace?
they wanted liberation.
Yeah, they wanted out from control under the Roman.
This is a tinderbox. If you look at it from a political science point of view, this is a mess. It's a hot mess. And the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the ruling elite don't want to upset the apple cart. And the people don't want peace, they want freedom. Sort of. And so you got a mess. And Jesus is saying, you've been in this mess for a long time. I understand where you are, but you got to change and you got to think differently, because you can't win the way you are.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head. And he weeps over Jerusalem because he realizes, I'm going to go in here and we're telling them who I am right now, and they're not getting it. All they're worried about is keeping their comfort zone, right. their little bit of power that they have. And so, these are the people that are in charge of the media. They're in charge of everything that gets out. Mm-hmm. So, other than word of mouth, which that's how Jesus spread, his disciples spread, was word of mouth. Not, the news that was going out, not preaching in the synagogues. There weren't other people in the synagogues preaching, hey, this guy over here, he's the one. So, everything that was in control of what the people heard and the people, they were against it. and they're trying to hold on to that power that they have.
They would have been against, and they will be against Jesus in about 48 hours.
Oh, goodness.
They will-
I was
they will
thinking
be.
today.
Yeah,
I was
they will
thinking
be
this-
against Jesus in 48. Well, what is the message for us today? We know what he was saying to the Jerusalem,
Mhm.
but what's he saying to us?
Where does peace come from?
Within.
And because you did not recognize the time of your visitation from God, I just cannot. I mean, everything up to this point, pretty much, Jesus just says, "Don't tell anybody who I am. Don't tell anybody who I am." And then he makes this statement. It's like, wow, that's a bold statement. That changes everything. And because of that, this is probably one of the reasons why they did crucify him, because of his claims of who he was and what he's bringing.
But
Go ahead.
But today, ever since this was said by Jesus, we continue to fight wars to obtain peace.
Yep.
And is that obtuse?
Mm-hmm.
I told you about the bumper sticker I saw going over to this. I was driving to Bible study, and I got behind this guy, and I see this big truck, and of course you think, okay, people that drive big trucks kind of put me on, not I won't say defensive, but make me aware of them. So across the back of his window, it said peace. I thought, what
Yeah,
an
you
odd
did tell
thing.
me about it.
If I'm thinking correctly about what this guy probably believes in and what he stands for, that's out of place. So I ended up getting in the other lane and driving up beside him, and sure enough, the peace was spelled out in guns. The letters were made up of different guns and different angles and everything. and that's what Bill was saying, you know. People believe that you can gain peace through violence.
Annihilate, yeah.
How do you,
Annihilation.
yeah, well, if I wipe everybody out that I disagree with, then I'm going to have peace. You know, you just have
Or have
other
the big
people.
guns that make you believe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the Pax Romana. Pax Romana is Rome, Latin for the peace of Rome.
Well,
And that's the way they worked. You do what I say or else. See, we're all peaceful now.
well, yeah, but people fought to get into the peace of Rome, to get into the Roman Empire.
They fought for who?
They fought. They would go to Roman's government, to go to the senators, and say, "We need protection." So they agreed to pay tax to Rome and whatnot. Rome wouldn't have to fight the war attacking them. They fought to get in,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
because number one, that was the most order that you had. You know, and that was, if you were in a Roman Empire, you were protected by Rome. You had the legions, right?
Yeah.
And so Rome was a good thing for some. This is a nasty time in the world.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
A little nastier today, but it hasn't gotten any better since then.
Anyway, I just wanted to touch on this recognition. In Genesis 18 and 19, that's the story of Abraham being visited by the three people, and of course we believe one of them to be God. And then, but he recognizes this, and he calls him my Lord, and he treats them with great hospitality and all that. And then Lot, when he encounters, he's the same way. He recognizes them for what they are, and he welcomes them. Jesus, they don't recognize him for what he is, and they crucify him. So I thought that was interesting.
Next thing he does, he goes to the temple.
Yeah, it goes straight to the
Says
temple.
the same thing in the temple.
Yep. Okay, so I want to talk on that. Let's. Yeah. Okay. We got to wrap this up quickly. The cleansing of the temple. Then he enters the temple and he begins to drive out those who were selling things there. And he said, "It is written, my house shall be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers." And every day he was teaching in the temple, and the priests and the scribes and other leaders of the people kept looking at him and wanted to kill him. But they did not find anything that they could do, for all the people were spellbound by what he had heard. Cleansing of the temple. What is that? Jesus got angry, right?
Yeah.
Where does it say Jesus was angry?
No.
I read a couple of the commentaries. I actually cross out words I don't like they use, and I cross out the word violence. Why is it? There's no violence there. It says the most that you can say, especially in Luke, but in Matthew it says he made a cord and drove out the animals.
Yeah, that's the picture in the.
Yeah. So we're putting something there because, and I asked Cindy about this. I wish she was here. She would have said this. Anyway, it says because he tipped over the table or he turned over the tables. You only do that when you're angry.
Temper tantrum.
It's like no. I said it doesn't specifically say he went in there and he trashed the place or this and that. And the reason why I bring this up, okay, is because so many it's been in our ideas, our traditions, that Jesus got angry, and so it's okay to get angry. It's okay because we call that what? Righteous indignation. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're putting our feelings into Jesus so that we feel better when we get angry about something.
Yeah.
But it's not there in all the gospel. And this is another interesting thing. This actually, him teaching and driving the merchants out of the temple is in all four gospels, which is odd because usually you get the three, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but John goes off a different way. But John has this in there, this story in there too. So what is it about this? And why didn't they have the idea they were looking for someone to kill him? Well, he's causing a disruption in the temple. But the people knew that was wrong to have those merchants inside the temple and have them pay. And what they were doing was they were robbing the people, basically. Oh, you've got that kind of money? Well, you got to exchange it for the temple money. And so your one coin, which is worth about 5 of the temple coins, well, it's the other way around now. You're going to have to pay me 5 of your coins, and I'll give you 1 of the temple coins. Price gouging. Same with the animals. You know, you had to have an unblemished animal. Well, who's running the merchants? People that were also in bed with the people that did the inspections, because for a sacrifice, it had to be without blemish. And so you brought your own. We got to inspect it. Oh, it's got this little mark right here. This is no good. You'll have to buy one from the vendors over here.
Yeah, it was a scam.
It was a scam, and it was happening right there in the temple. And that is why, and the people knew it. And what Jesus did was actually a good thing to drive them out, because he's helping. This is Jesus in his social justice. He's taking care of the poor people. And it's like,
And there's something else. If you think about if they were doing these scams on the people, they were doing them in the house of God, because as far as the people were concerned, the temple was the center of their faith.
yes. And here we are scamming people.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. You know, it's like doing a Ponzi scheme with the pastor doing a Ponzi scheme with his congregation.
So did people understand they were being scammed?
Some of them.
Oh yeah. I know we're way over. When I was in Rome, I did visit Rome. I didn't get to Jerusalem, but I got to Rome, And I'm right outside the Coliseum. We just went in the Coliseum. We walked around the Coliseum. We come out, and there's this vendor there. He's got this big trolley-looking truck, and he's got all kinds of stuff. And I said, I'm thirsty. I get to go get a Coke. So I say, let me get a Coke. And he takes the Coke. He opens it, and he hands it to me and says, "That's €4."
12, that'd be about
$6 to $8. Yeah, and I'm like, no, thank you. You see what he did? He opened it, and I just said, Cindy, let's go, and we walked away because he opened it, so I was responsible to pay him that. I wasn't going to pay. And you know what I did? I ended up going right down. We were going to another place, oldest church in Rome, and so we went down this little alleyway to go there, and there was this little mom and pop store, and I bought a soda and a little pint of strawberries for €1.50.
Yeah.
So but it was right there. It's convenient and it's a scam, and that's kind of what we had there.
Well,
Say
if
in
you go to
itself, gotcha.
If you go to the swamp, you're gonna pay €8.
Unless you're Pogo.
All right, thank you guys.
Unless you're Pogo. Remember Pogo? In the comic strips? You
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember